Hello class. In this session, we're going to be talking about Chapter 2, Behavior Modification. For the purposes of your convenience, this session will be divided in two parts. Let's begin. What are the learning objectives of this session? By the end of this chapter, you should be able to analyze the effects of the environment on human behavior, identify obstacles that hinder the ability to change behavior, describe how habits are formed and changed, explain the importance of personal values and long-term goals, identify the techniques for positive self-talk, define the concept of motivations and locus of control, apply the stages of change in behavior modification, describe the processes of change, explain techniques that will facilitate the process of change, describe the role of SMART goal setting in the process of change, and lastly, write and utilize an action plan for behavioral change. Behavior modification. Exercise is medicine. If there is something we know very well, it's the benefits of physical activity in our health. The American College of Sports Medicine's initiative called Exercise is Medicine is intended to promote exercise across the globe as a measure of individuals' well-being. However, is everyone being physically active? Is everyone exercising? Nearly all Americans have said that exercise is beneficial to health and see a need to incorporate it in their lives. Yet, 70% of new and returning exercisers are at risk for early dropout. The problem is that at times a person may contemplate to begin an exercise program because they realize there is a need for it, whether it's a personal health issue, whether it's a personal fitness goal. Then they consider engaging or enrolling in a fitness class or an exercise program. Then they participate in the program concludes, they stop exercising, and then they find excuses for not continue to exercise. Most often, these are environmental factors that affect the person's ability to continue to exercise or not. The reality is that most sedentary activities like sitting, binge watching Netflix shows tend to be easier to do than exercise, and therefore more appealing to become habits than exercise. Most of our behaviors are a product of our environment. We are influenced by our family and friends. We are influenced by our home environments. We are influenced by our school and workplaces, media, and most importantly today, social media. We are influenced by our community, our country, and our culture. People make decisions based on what is good for them and how the decision compares to social norms or anchor points. We are habituated to an environment that is toxic when it comes to fitness and wellness. There is more passive transportation. We use vehicles to move from one point to another point. We take buses, we take trains. We don't walk as much. We don't ride bikes as much for transportation. We eat more fast food, junk food, or heavily processed foods because of convenience, timing. It is easier to buy something at a fast food chain restaurant than getting home and cook. And sedentary entertainment, sitting to watch video shows, movies. We spend too much time sitting and therefore not good when it comes for fitness and wellness. Again, there are too many negative environmental influences. Driving instead of walking, taking the elevators and escalators instead of the stairs, television viewing and snacking communities with no safe place to walk, and schools not within walking distance, making the need for a vehicle for transportation a necessity. So there are many environmental influences that affect our ability to stay active. And these environmental influences have resulted in high sedentary behaviors among the population, and therefore the high levels of obesity, the high levels of chronic disease, because we have developed sedentary environments that are not conducive for people to be physically active. So our goal is to try to counteract that, because we do know something, that the obesity epidemic is worsening, that people eat more today than they did before, that the advertising of highly processed foods is more common than that of healthy food options. And many of our daily activities are associated with eating. Sometimes we use food as a reward for doing something well. And most often those rewards are pizza or burgers, highly processed foods. Today, portion sizes are larger. We snack more than ever before. Unhealthy food is so inexpensive and readily accessible. Restaurants encourage clients to eat more, and individuals tend to disregard hunger cues. The reality is that our environmental influences have changed the way we eat today. Significantly larger food portions, very cheap and accessible. So the combination of physical inactivity and poor diet have resulted in a serious public health problem, not only in the country, but worldwide. Understanding the process of change. If motivated and ready, understanding the process of change increases individuals' chances of success. Human behavior is driven by personal values, by how it affects you and your habits. We are habitual beings. So our values, the things we hold close to us, like family, respect, faith, your values, affect your dreams and the things that you desire to attain. But those values also have an influence on your behaviors, and your behaviors affect your actions, and those are influenced by the things that you are surrounded to, family, things that are valued within your close circle, your own motivation and your own reward systems and what you hold dear to you. So this process of change has various players or factors that we must account for when we are thinking about creating behavior change. Most habits are developed based on rewards, and most people value instant rewards more than long-term rewards. The reason why most of you find social media, TikTok, Instagram so appealing, because you have instant gratification. It's a instant reward. Behavior change, on the contrary, is not instant. It takes time, and many times the rewards from behavior change take longer time to be received. Part of your brain, the corpus striatum, plays a role in habit formation, activated by pleasurable and rewarding events. That's why sugary things are more pleasant than vegetables or fruits. That's why sitting and binge watching TV shows is more appealing than walking for 10 or 30 minutes for exercise. It's because of how the brain perceives those rewards and how instant they are and how pleasurable they are. And that's why habit formation in its own, it takes time to break some habits, especially if we have been doing them for a long time. How do we change poor habits? Well, the first step is to recognize that something needs to be changed. If you feel that you're spending too much time on your cell phone and you need to change that because you're consuming too much of your daily hours on your phone, you need to recognize that you have a problem with your phone. If you want to change your eating habits, then you need to recognize that you need to change your eating habits. If you're not as physically active as you should and you want to improve your health, you need to recognize that something needs to be changed in order for you to take steps to change. One first thing to do after you have recognized that something needs to be changed, it's mindfulness. It's to be present. To recognize your recognize the biology's role in habit formation. Why the habits you have were formed and how they resulted. What were the consequences of those habits? Take note of the cues or triggers. For example, sometimes people eat ice cream a lot when they are under severe stress. So stress is a trigger point for eating ice cream for some people, for consuming, large amounts of ice cream or chocolate, you name it. So it's very important that we recognize what are the triggers that make us engage in certain habits that we know need to be changed. Repetition also is a good strategy because a lot of the habits we have been repeated for many years. So when we try to replace those habits with new habits, we need to repeat those new habits as often as possible to create that routine. The challenge is to try to find one that replaces one that you've been doing for so long that many times the fear of the unexpected, of the unknown, is what results in why people don't change. Use mistakes as learning tools. Do not see failure as the worst or as a negative thing. Yes, it might not be pleasant, but you learn a lot from it. You identify the things that did not work, and then you make changes as necessary to have greater likelihood of success. And focus on long-term goals and the values. Identify the values that support your need for change and stick to those. Planning and willpower. Understanding the role of willpower or self-control is helpful in behavior modification. Planning, because when you have a plan, you have a guide and a sense of direction. Having a plan is the most effective way to use your willpower. It allows you to be conscious about the choices to align behavior with long-term goals. We know that sometimes stressors and other demands may influence or affect it, but when you implement it, you have the intention to make a change. And that intention is what may lead to willpower to see things through. As I stated before, the world we live in influences us. Our knowledge, attitudes, and skills, our family, friends, and social networks influence the things we believe and the things that we hold dear to us. The organizations and social institutes that we belong to also influence us. The community, the relationships among organizations, the national, state, and local laws, they all, in their own way, influence how we live and interact in our own environments. So the second part of this lecture will focus on theories of behavior change that has been useful in leading to change behavior when it comes to promoting physical activity or exercise participation.